Can you remember the names of any of the masters that were at your secondary school?
I can remember some of them, chiefly because I remember meeting one of them when I was a teacher. It was on the occasion of the coronation, I think, of the Queen, when I was a teacher, that we were organising groups of children from the schools to go up and watch. And we all had, all those who were marshals, we were called, I think we had a special badge, and we all met up at County Hall, and we were sort of briefed on what we should do and where we should go, and all the times were worked out. And the person who organised that was my geography master from when I was at Emmanuel School, strangely enough. When I was there, he was a Captain Hill, and he was head of geography. And when I saw him again, he was Colonel Hill.
Did he recognise you?
No, not really. He must have seen thousands of us. No.
So when was your first trip abroad?
I think it was when I was about 14, I think. I went to Italy and came back through Austria, and I remember seeing the Oberammergau Passion Play on the way back. And that was really a very intense experience, I suppose, going abroad for the first time.
So was that sort of got you interested in travel and music, did it?
Yes, I should think so. Yes, I enjoy travel, and I have done ever since. And music, yes.
So when you left school, did you know straight away that you wanted to go into teaching, or?
When I left school, there was about a hiatus of about a year, I suppose, when I got a job with a very strange man who was trying to market what he called illuminated magnifier, which was a glorified torch set in the side of a white cup with a magnifying lens on it, which would magnify things very intensely. And he was trying to market this thing, and I used to help him organise these things and market them for him.
Did you sell many?
Yeah, quite a few, yes. But I've seen things recently which bear some resemblance to them, but a bit more polished.
So how did you get out of the magnifying lens industry?
Well, I was called up into the army eventually in December 1940. In fact, I was up in Blackpool at the time. But that was a very vivid experience.
What, the getting called up? Or
Yes, in December 1940. Well, I was 20, I suppose. Yes, 20.
So what would happen? Would you get a letter, or?
Yes, I got a letter, and I got the King's shilling, which was a traditional gift to all those who were compulsorily forced into the army.
Can you remember how you felt when you got that letter?
Horrible. I had to make the long journey by train from Blackpool down to Aldershot, and then it was, by that time it was evening, it was night time, and there was a coach waiting for us. And as we were travelling in this coach through the darkness, because at that time, of course, at the beginning of the war, there was no lights on anywhere and it was dark, and I realised that there was no glass in the windows of the coach. You could put your hand through and it was nothing there at all. It's very strange to be in a coach in the dark, a coach with no windows to it. It was very vivid.
So when you got there, what happened then?
Well, we were given a meal. And the one thing that struck me about that meal was it's the first time I've had cooked celery. Cooked celery. I'd never heard of celery being cooked before that time, and it was very strange that this meal, of all places, to have such a sophisticated meal.
Did it put you off cooked celery for
No,
life?
I've enjoyed it ever since. And every time I eat cooked celery, I remember, my army days.
So once they'd sorted everyone out, where was your first mission?
Well, I was in the Royal Army Medical Corps, and
You better say why.
why? Oh, well, I suppose originally I actually registered as a conscientious objector because I thought at the time that I was going into the church as a priest. But eventually I realised that that was just a sham, so I wrote and told them that I would withdraw my decision to be a conscientious objector. But whether they received the letter or whether it got muddled up all around the world, we don't really know. But anyway, I was called up into the Royal Army Medical Corps, and we did a basic training and stretcher drill and all the things that you had to learn in connection with wounded soldiers. And after that, we were all sent to Leeds, which was what is called a holding depot, where you were held until you were distributed to various or other organisations, hospitals, or attached to various army divisions or something like that. But eventually I was allocated and sent off to what is called a field ambulance in Macclesfield. And I realised then that we were due to go abroad because we were all issued with tropical helmets, pith helmets you call them, and all the sort of clothing that you need in a very hot climate. But while I was there, there was a notice that was put up on the company notice board which asked for people to volunteer for training in what was called then radio location. And I rather fancied that. So I applied for this, and eventually I was taken away from this field ambulance and sent to another depot. And then eventually I was sent off to a technical college at Coventry. And I spent, I think, 12 weeks there on basic radio theory. And the last piece of the training there on basic radio theory had the strange title of Special Circuits, which everyone spoke about in a very hushed voice. And we didn't realise what it meant. But after the training in basic radio theory, we were sent to an army training depot, which was in Leicestershire, Gopsall Hall, which was a stately home which had been taken over by the army, and right in the depths of the Leicestershire countryside. And there we learnt what special circuits were. It was circuits which were connected with radar. We didn't use the word radar then, it was radio location. And there I did about a 12-week course on these what would you call it, apparatuses which were concerned with detecting aeroplanes in the air and tracing them and following them. And after that, I was sent out to what is called a company workshop in the REME this time. It was the REME, while I was on this basic training, the REME was formed, the Royal Electrical and Mechanical Engineers. It came into existence. And we were sent to various depots in various parts of the country. I can remember being in Loughborough, On recollection, it's amazing the number of different places I was sent to in this country.
Did you keep in touch with any of the people that you met in those
No,
days?
not really. There were some people, when I was at Gopsall Hall on this army training course on radio, we formed a concert party. And we put on a play, The Importance of Being, what was it called? George and Margaret it was called, which had been a very successful play in the West End.
And what part did you play?
I played the juvenile lead.
And he had it away with the
And yes, at this training place, there were a lot of ATS girls employed in the
actually hear more now than
in the
Interesting bit now.
So we put on this play, George and Margaret,
and it was a
and
great success.
I remember playing the piano on stage, rambling up and down the keys in a romantic manner.
Did you have to do any on-stage kissing?
Probably, yes, because I was the junior, what do you call it, the juvenile lead. Quite probably. But they're very strange, because I remember we were doing rehearsals and the man who was in charge of my, what do you call it, I don't know, state director, he was a captain at this place, and he was very strange. He had taken a fancy to this girl, and in a matter of fact, we used
A love triangle.
to do our rehearsals and reading through the parts with her sitting on his knee. It was very strange. Didn't inspire much sense of romance.
Were there lots of clandestine things going on during these times?
What do you mean by clandestine? Well, I don't know. I met a couple of fellows there who we got on well because we were in this concert party. And I remember towards the end of the war we met up. They were the only people that I'd ever met after the war that I'd known during the war. Very strange.
Well, when you were in the medical corps, was there any, how much notice would you have been given if you were going to be sent to the front?
Well, the unit that I was sent to in Cheshire, Macclesfield, quite soon after I'd left them, they were sent to Singapore, and they were taken prisoner by the Japs. So that's what happened to them. And if I hadn't applied for this course, I might not be here today.
So when the war was over, what made you decide to go into teaching?
I don't know. I suppose I'm...
Before the end of the war, you decided.
Well, I suppose, yes, I suppose various people you talk to, and it was a course that they wanted teachers, so I thought I'd apply. I went to a college at Folkestone that I think Nicholas knows a lot about now. There were 3 or 4 houses just outside Folkestone which were used as a training college for teachers. I did a short course there. We were all ex-service people, Army, Navy, Air Force.
When you met Nana, she said that she met you through your sister.
Yes.
Had your sister told you much about her before you first met?
No, not really, because my sister was in the, the Army, the Ministry of Labour, wasn't it then? Yeah. And on one occasion she brought Pamela back just brought her back home, I suppose, and that's where it all started.
I left school in May and I met him in June.
Really? I had no idea that...
So was it love at first sight?
Yes, I think it must have been, yeah.
I've got the letter.
My sister, she brought various girls back home when